Welcome into the OBR streaming network. This is All Eyes on Cleveland. My name is Brad Ward. The man next to me is the one and only Casey Kinnamon. Follow him at Casey_Kinnamon. Welcome to the show. See you all filing in the chat. Good to see you here tonight. Glad to have you. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on your way in or out. Drew, MC, Connie. What's up, folks? The regulars. If you're watching over on X, hop on over to youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report. What is going on, Big Case Dog?
Well, I'm being ground down next to nothing at my day job, so I look forward to stuff like this, man. This is what I look forward to. This is what I get to do: chat, talk ball with you. I wish it was like in a better circumstance, but like it is what it is, and it's time to see our way through it.
Yep. Thanks, Brett. Hit that like button. Got to see our way through it. It's been a tough year, folks, but we're on the precipice of a massive off season for this organization, and there's lots to talk about as far as that goes. Spangles week. I've got a bold prediction. Drew's disappointed that Zappy is not playing on Sunday.
That's probably not until week 18.
Maybe. Hopefully, DTR plays well enough that he can play out the string. That would be the best possible.
Well, I was hoping for James to at least get me this far because this is the game I wanted.
Man, Jameis really dropped the ball, man. I'm sorry. I know it's
you can't defend some of that. You know what I mean? It's just
it was. Did you read my article this week?
I haven't read anything this week. I've been a sad sight.
It was about the increased pressure on this front office will force them to be aggressive with quarterback, and I kind of laid it out like. For a minute there, we all felt like Jameis might be good enough. If you put a running game around him, I'm not writing off that he's not. I'm just saying for a minute
but he had the opportunity
there,
to grab it by the horns. And
is your mic? Are you coming through your mic or the computer mic?
It's a great question. Any better now?
Tremendously better. You sound like a golden god now.
Oh. Shout out to Dennis Reynolds.
Yep. I was just watching bloopers from that last night. That's why it came to me. Yeah. All right. Anyways, don't want to go down that tangent.
Not yet. It's early.
Yeah, it's early. So I think we were all in a place like, man, if we could run, add some linemen, supplement the defense, add a weapon outside,
limit his exposures a little bit.
Yeah, and just lower, he doesn't have to throw the ball. Live broadcast commercials. Congrats, guys. You have it big on YouTube. Thanks, Drew. Cleveland Browns fans have always been in love with the backup quarterback. I think that's
every team.
All football fans, yeah.
That's all. That's every team.
But so that's where I was at with him, though. Like, coming out of Denver, even after coming out of Denver, I was still feeling pretty good about like Jameis.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh game, and then Kansas City. He hurt his resume significantly in my eyes.
Yeah, the Chiefs game, because it's the epitome of taking the cheese. Both of those interceptions. I'm not counting the one, the Chubb. I mean, that was bad ball placement, but you expect your guy to make a play. Good play by the defense to wrestle it. But the other two, you'd gotten into field goal range.
Throw.
You had marched right into field goal range and got greedy, man. Just going vertical into coverage when you don't have to. And when you look back, there's open guys right in front of you.
Right.
You could have just, continued to inch down the field, got greedy in those moments, and it cost you.
Did you see the breakdown on the third interception? How interesting that was with McDuffie, what he did on that play?
Yeah, to come off his man like that. I didn't see the breakdown. I watched the play a few times though.
Okay, so I saw a breakdown where it says that he spotted his back was turned when Jameis threw it, and he looked up at the jumbotron to see that the ball was thrown.
Yeah,
and then had the wherewithal to turn, identify it, and pick it.
When you consider it's his first ever NFL interception, and to get it in that fashion,
that's wild.
Like how nuts is that? He's a very good player. The fact that he had no interceptions wasn't indicative of the level of corner he is. But we know through Emerson's first season, he was playing lights out ball and just couldn't get an interception. You see how that can happen. But to get it in that way.
Anyways, so I guess I got to a point, and I wrote about this, that like these guys, when I look at these guys, and this is what I want to talk about tonight a little bit, because we're going to do our QB wish list. And OG Philly, my main man, what is up, brother? Good to see you. At one point I felt that way about Jameis, right? Like, this could be the guy. Just got to supplement a running game. You can't have him throwing it 40 to 60 times. Maybe you can coach some of it out of him. Like, I don't know. He's an old dog. It's hard to, you know what I mean? But like, still, Stefanski, maybe you can coach some of it out of him. Dorsey, whatever, right? In the offseason. If he gets a better grasp of the offense that is, for him. What is up, Risa Bear? Everybody in the house tonight. Raul, good to see everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys all being here. But I just think, and I've been talking about this, and not a lot of people are talking about this, but like, I just think that there is a significant amount of pressure, especially coming off of, like, they're not playing well right now. Like, even down the stretch, there was a stretch there where they were playing good football.
Yeah.
Competitive football, right?
Yeah.
Competitive football.
They're being explosive.
Yes, on offense. But they were so bad in the Kansas City game. Defensively, they were good, but offensively,
very good.
Yeah. Offensively, they were just so bad that I feel like in the penalties, the self-inflicted wounds, the 6 turnovers, like that stuff is an indictment for me partially on coaching. Like, especially week 14. What are we going into? 15?
16. This is week 16 now. Yep.
16. So like, and I, I'm a guy that have backed up, Stefanski, but like that stuff is just crazy, man. Like, how are we still having pre-snap penalties?
Well, that was the one thing when he kind of handed over play calling. It's like, okay, well, now you're going to be more of an overseer.
Yeah.
So I expect to see those things lessen, and for them to rear their head and this late in the season, it's it's inexcusable. And I can deal with some penalties, man. On effort penalties like that. Give me effort penalties all day as opposed to just shooting yourself in the foot, pre-snap stuff. It's, because then like you'll see it happen where you have a good play and then that you saw the flag and you already know that's coming back and it's going to be procedural penalties. This is all stuff that gets left on the practice field, in my opinion. Knowing your assignment, knowing, and some of it, we saw it with motion penalties where guys were kind of slightly coming forward, and you'll see other teams kind of get away with it, and you feel like it's like, all right, well that's ticky-tacky stuff, but like it's avoidable, and that's the most damning part. Those are avoidable.
OG Philly speaking the truth right there.
OG, appreciate it.
Good of you, Gregory, to use your girl's phone. We appreciate that. as well to make it to the show. Does any of that fall on Dickerson? Listen, I don't know what the hell Dickerson's story is.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know enough, but it ain't been good. And I guess I don't know. I don't know enough. We don't know enough, but like
Yeah.
even through Hard Knocks, he hasn't shown himself well
No, Roy
at
Istvan's
all.
like kind of like stolen the show as far as that goes.
Right. Yeah.
And part of it's like, okay, like you're not Bill Callahan. That's strike one. Like you know that he can control about that,
Yeah,
but
strike one. Yeah.
you know what I mean? But then you come in and
Phantom.
like your offensive tackle situation's in shambles because of the misjudging of injuries. So you're starting off on a bad foot. The injuries haven't stopped. But this is an organization, like if we were to hang our hat on anything that had happened since 2020, is you were dominant on the line of scrimmage. Now that's lessened year over year on the
Yeah.
offensive side, but it's at an all-time low. And he just happens to be the man overseeing that. How much of that's really him, we'll never know. But it doesn't look good. Like it definitely doesn't bode well for your future when you're on a decline that's so sharp on that side of the ball.
So you say you take Dickerson and you take Dorsey and you take Stefanski, right? And you say, listen, okay, you haven't had a run game for 2 straight years. You can maybe even go 3.
Well, you can. Here's what sucks is the first half of 22 they were lights out with Brissett.
Since then,
Yeah,
it's been a
it's
straight
since someone started the last 6 games.
decline.
Yeah,
And they couldn't do it at all last year, and they can't do it at all this year. And it's not like they've been able to pivot to an adjustment that has
to
made
get
any
spark,
difference.
yeah.
And that's the most damning part for me. Because, like, I get that, like, the personnel doesn't really match what you're trying to accomplish right now, which is also somebody's fault. Andrew Barry, somebody's fault, right? That needs to be communicated. In this offseason, you need to say, this is who we want to be in the run game. Okay. I think you need to know who your quarterback is first, but this is who we want to be in the run game. And now we need to match our personnel to what we want to accomplish instead of taking our personnel that was designed for the wide zone and
Yep.
trying to get push up the middle. 69% of the runs between the tackles up the middle. That's absurd with guys that are too small like Pochik. I mean, it's just not going to work.
I'm almost to the point because I don't see any magic solution at quarterback. You got to retool this line. You got to establish a dominant line of scrimmage and build off of your running game. And then you like,
yeah,
I can't envision anything higher than a mid-tier quarterback here in 25.
No, there's nobody available. We're going to go through that, but there's nobody available.
So build the damn line of scrimmage, man. Build the offensive line, and like you said, form the identity. Like we are literally in week 16, and we don't even have an offensive identity.
None.
To me, that is so damning of what's going on here. Like you have to
for
have
a minute we did,
and for years they were run first, and the rest of the league was pass first. And now it's almost kind of switched to a lot of other teams are like staying behind the run game now. You look across the league, and now we're the team without a running game. It just make sense.
Yeah, a lot of that is the cover 2 stuff. And, you know, you know, this question, does Dickerson run same scheme as Callahan did? No, he doesn't. But I also thought it was weird. Like there was he didn't know how to do some of the stuff when he came in. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, which leads me to believe, like, why were you hired?
Why were you hired if you don't know how to do, like, you know, some of the concepts that we want to deploy?
That's an interview process right there. Like that should have been sniffed out at interview process.
Anyways, I don't know if he's going to be around, but I fully expect that Ethan Pochik is out. He doesn't match or fit what they're doing. He's just not been good enough. If I'm being brutally honest, Batonio played well last week, but he hasn't been good enough all year. And Teller has not had a good year. Now,
50-50. What's great, not in the pass game. I don't. He doesn't set well. In the run
No.
game, I like what he does, but
And so sorry, are you guys getting blitzed with commercials right now? Let me give me 1 second. I see a lot of complaining about commercials. Maybe we are on a different setting or something here. Yeah, I mean, certainly we want to get paid, but we also don't want
to break up the show so much that it's unwatchable. There is a fine line there.
our badly that it's making it hard for you to even watch the show, which would not be great, right?
We all run into it when we watch certain programs. I had YouTube Premium for a minute, but I couldn't justify paying that every month.
I have it, but I have it on the family because my son uses it too.
Yeah.
All right. That should fix it for the moment for the live watchers of this. Who is the run game coordinator? And so there you go, guys. Commercials should be off for the moment. Who is the run game coordinator? And didn't the run game stink under Dorsey and Buffalo? This is from OG Philly. Good question. Just like everything they did last offseason centered around Watson at the expense of the run game and other. Listen, I don't blame. You got to figure out how to run the ball regardless of who your quarterback is. You can't blame the lack of the run game on Watson, I don't think. Now, did they change the run game because of Watson?
Change of scheme, but not,
Yeah, I think they did change it. Now, they have the most success that they've had in the run game is out of shotgun this year.
Yep.
They just can't.
Same as last year.
Yeah, they can't run from under center at all. And to your point here, yeah, I think that this line was designed to do the wide zone, the outside zone stuff. But then if you turn around and ask them to do the power stuff, right? What are they running? Duo and pin pull, and what are they running up the middle?
Well, duo is the most used concept across the league now for that.
Yeah, but they're getting no push with that stuff.
Not consistently, consistently at all. And you have to create space. You have to create spatial stuff to be able to gash people up the middle, and there's no creativity to it. When it's coming. They do it in certain situations. They don't.
Yeah.
But when you assembled this line, you look at what they did in 2020. They're running. They knew they were going to implement outside zones. You go get a Jack Conklin, someone who's an amazing athlete and can maneuver in space.
Yep.
And you also had Bitonio still in his prime, and he could do either. He could do the power stuff. He could do the movement stuff. Pochich ended up being kind of a revelation. He wasn't that player in Seattle, but whatever magic he has rubbed off. And that's something that's weird to me. What caused his regression to be so sharp? And the only thing I can point to is the scheme changed, and he's just not equipped to handle it.
Yeah, that's right. OG Philly, the gap schemes, concepts, split zone, inside zone. The thing that has worked the best is a lot of the inside zone from shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to work the best. Jerome Ford has looked better in past weeks.
Very much.
He just has a burst that's there that's not that Chubb doesn't have or didn't have before the injury. It's
weird too because it's a second to third level burst. He isn't fast, but he gets that second level, he can pull away.
Man, did he run away from everybody in that long run?
Yeah, but it's about his vision's always going to be what sets him back. There were several times he left meat on the bone, but then you see when he makes the correct decision, he can really separate. and it's something they have to work on with him, and something they have to just really kind of lean into his skill set when he's out there. I know we're not getting into it right now, but I don't know what the future holds for that running back room. It could go a few different ways.
Okay. Real quickly, I think Chubb comes back on a minimum deal just because I want him around at the very least.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know if it's going to happen. I want it to happen.
Okay.
But he was the one player that needed to get into the offseason injury free so he could literally do an entire offseason of being Nick Chubb, doing Nick Chubb things so he could hit the ground running next year. This foot injury probably going to set him back 6 weeks.
Sure.
Sure. This clouds the timeline for his offseason training. And so how much can they put in that basket? Because I know they're not going to pay him a ton.
I'm not putting anything in the basket. Like, I'm not counting on him at all.
So I think you need to go get another veteran and draft a guy.
So I think you bring back Ford, and you're gonna draft somebody at least day 2 to be like your feature back, and probably bring in a veteran.
Yeah, I wouldn't even rule out day 3 just because of how deep this class is, and I think you can get quality guys.
Fine.
Round 4, maybe even round 5. But yeah, but it has to be an all-angle approach because you can't bank on it with Chubb. I wish you could, but you just can't.
And
keep circling back to Tyler Algier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I expect them to retool this offensive line in free agency. So I think you're going to get some guard additions, a swing tackle addition. I think you're going to, wherever they decide they want to do, you know what I mean? Schematically, they're going to fit that, right? We have to see what happens with Batonia's retirement, all things like that, right? But either way, you retool that, and then you need to bring in 2 backs, veteran and a rookie. Preferably the rookie is your starter, right? Or your A back. I think that you can find one in this draft that you really love that fits what you want to do. And now what you're doing, you're just trying to make the quarterback position as easy as possible. And the best way they can do that is with the run game. So this is mandatory. Have to do it.
Yes.
All this stuff. This is like priority 1. Okay. So we know they're going to do that, right? They have to. They realize that. I believe they're smart enough to realize they have to do that.
I'll be blown away if those moves aren't made in that order.
Exactly. All right. So here's my list. Here's the order of the list that it's in. All right. I mean, you hear a lot of Justin Fields, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston, Aaron Rodgers.
I don't feel like that's realistic.
I don't think it is either, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins became very real the other day. Sam Darnold is my pipe dream. That's where we're at. I can't believe I just said that. Sam Darnold is my pipe.
Yeah. I like that. Wow. That's the reason Jameis Winston's not going to get off this list. You know what I mean? Because out of all the names you're just naming, like he's right there with him. Like he's right there along. Okay, so the Cousins thing. Let's go ahead and get into the Cousins thing.
Okay. Well, 1 second. Then your rookies. Okay. All right. You got to include them. All right.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. And I just want to finish setting the premise I started earlier. I think this regime has to win at least 7 games, probably more, to keep their job next year. So keep that in mind. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. No, I don't think it might be higher.
Yeah, it might be higher, right? It depends in what manner that it happens. So,
True.
the one way here's your other out. If you do draft a quarterback high, first round, early day 2, and he shows glimpses of looking like the guy, the answer, that will get you another year. 6 wins and up. And you looks like you might have the answer at quarterback with a youngster, with your
So
rookie.
you don't think you could survive like a Drake May situation where like he looks like he could be the man, but the team's still falling short? I think in that situation with such of a low win total like New England, I think you might lose your GM but keep your coach if the player itself looks like he could be the guy and he's playing well, but just in losing efforts.
Right. Yeah. I think any situation where it looks like that you drafted your quarterback of the future, I think you're fine. Record regardless. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna fire you after you just drafted a guy that looks like he's your QB of the future. No?
Well, unless it looks like you're the one holding him back. And that's all perspective.
Yeah, that's perspective. But typically, drafting a quarterback gets you it restarts your timeline a little bit. It gives you an extra year.
We were talking about kind of like survival mode for AB. Do you think that would be like on the table for him to like extend that? Just go quarterback regardless, just because it will extend his window.
Yes, I do. That's what I wrote about. I said I think he has to be aggressive enough that you either are going to make the playoffs or be above 500 to keep your job if you're going to go veteran, or you have to go early in the draft quarterback that you love. You may even have to force it. I'm talking self-preservation mode. Now, he always talks about being like steward of the organization and all this stuff. So maybe he isn't worried, doesn't think like that. But if I were him, I would be thinking that way. OG Philly agrees. I've been saying that for weeks for the same reason. Yeah, I mean, if you go quarterback early, I think it buys you more time.
Damn, this is not a good year for this.
It's not. And they're not going to have like the top 1 or 2 pick. And right now, and I'm not saying they can't fall in love with another guy. Right now, it looks like there's 2 guys, right, that look like it looks like Cam Ward and Shedeur, right, are 1 and 2. Now, there's some other guys there that intrigue me. Jackson Dart is intriguing. There's some other guys there that intrigue me, but I don't know if they go top 10.
I mean, this is also from the pulse I'm getting from draft pundits, and it feels like only 2 are going to have a first-round grade. But because of the scarcity of the position, you could see some other guys fall into the mix if teams fall in love with them. There's just general consensus it's Shedeur and Cam Ward in that order. So keep in mind, okay, think about the teams that are drafting in the top 5 right now. Your Giants, your Raiders. You're looking at teams that need quarterback, right? Jacksonville won't be in that category, and they'll be drafting in the top 5. That might be a team that is the target team to trade up with if you fall in love with one of those guys.
Okay. But doesn't it have to be in the top 2 probably?
More than likely, that's quarterback. Just,
Yeah.
Unless some team, look, man, some team Travis Hunter might be a guy that teams just view him as generational. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about they might push a quarterback down a spot or 2.
Did you see what I wrote about this the other day? Hot take, right? Like Travis Hunter is unbelievable. I'm not taking anything away from him. He deserved a Heisman. He's unbelievable. But like in the NFL, are you going to use him as a corner or a wide receiver? Corner and maybe a little bit on offense, like a package or 2 for him?
Well, if you think about him, if you're him, I would much rather play full-time wide receiver, part-time corner because wide receivers get paid more.
Sure, but is he the best receiver in the draft?
No,
Right.
not in my opinion. No. Is he a
Right.
top
Me
5
neither.
receiver? Yes. Would he be a top
Top
5
5, yeah.
corner? Yes. Is
Is
he an
he the
ace at
best?
either? Probably not. Now, if he
No.
concentrates his effort, maybe he can be.
Okay, maybe.
Is he
But
willing?
that's my thing is like, he's valued highly because he did both, and that's so incredible. But he's not the best corner or the best wide receiver. So I don't know why you would take him in the top 5.
Yeah, some team might just view him as special, man.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, man. It just depends on what people are looking for and what they think is going to happen with him. I look at him, think he'd be an excellent zone corner. He's a corner that when he has eyes on the quarterback, he can really make things happen. Press man, I don't see it, but he's also been playing both sides of the ball. I don't know what he would be capable of if he was only playing one half. Hell, he doesn't because he's never done it. You know what I mean? It's kind of the other side of going both ways. We don't know what that looks like for him.
You see my point, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's not the best of either.
Right. So I would rather take the best of whatever I would need or want.
Yeah, if I was drafting a receiver, it would be T-Mac out of Arizona. Like that's the guy I would target. If we're talking Will Johnson, if we're talking corners, those are A1 of both those positions in my eyes right now here today.
Yeah. I'm not taking a corner this high this year. They have so many other needs right now anyway. So
well, that's what it comes down to though, too, is need versus best player available. Like in a lot of these mocks, I'm seeing Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, which they're excellent players, but I don't view that as a need. But like, so if I'm looking at Abdul Carter and just in a bubble, right, for the Browns and the Browns lens, Miles, obviously. I think Isaiah McGuire showed me enough that he can be a starter. I think Alex Wright's an excellent depth piece / starter. Ogbo's a great rotational. But do I let either of those players prevent me from drafting an Abdul Carter if he's truly the best player on the board? I don't.
No.
If you want to take a strength and make it like unbelievable, you can go that route. But the Browns do have so many damn needs left tackle. Like that's a glaring hole in this team. Now you can attract that in free agency and get maybe a mid-level guy, a guy who's passable, he's playable. But this is also not a great year for left tackle in the draft. Sometimes it just has to line up.
Not a good year for tackle in the draft at all. I think that we will have a better idea after free agency because one thing that Andrew Berry's always done really well is try to eliminate all needs before the draft so he can take best player available. I don't think that'll be the case as much this year because they're in a dire because of this quarterback situation. But I do believe that I got to be perfectly honest, we're still in the season. I haven't started doing work on quarterbacks.
Same.
I haven't formulated an opinion on these guys. I will, but at first look, I don't want anything to do with Shedeur Sanders. I would much rather have Cam Ward. But I haven't done the work on it yet. So that's a layman's, but that's partially because of his dad. I don't want the circus that comes with Dion. He'll be on drive time radio every freaking day talking about his son. And it'll just turn this whole thing into a circus again. I can't do it. He will bring all of the nonsense that it was around Colorado to Cleveland in the blink of an eye. And that would just be, God, that would be the biggest mistake in my eyes.
It'd be fucking exhausting is what it would be.
It would be exhausting and it would not be worth it. No, Sanders. No.
Worth it's like, are you automatic? Is he a 10-game winner out the box? Then maybe you could justify
no way.
I don't know that. Like I'm with you. I haven't done the work. I don't know. I just don't. Just from my initial stuff, I have not been overwhelmed by any of the quarterbacks, including Cam Ward. I see a lot of mistakes. I see a lot of stuff that I don't think Stefanski would want to sign up for. So
don't you think he shows a lot of promise though?
But it's like the wow plays. There's a lot of wow plays with Cam Ward. Like, man, That isn't it. That isn't all you get from him. Now, this is just me watching 3 games. I don't, that's not the breadth of his work, but I see a lot of wow, and I see a lot of I don't know if that works in the pros, and
Sure.
And he's played a ton of snaps. He's, incarnate word, like all his journey, all
Played
the way
a
to
lot of
Miami.
football. Yeah.
A ton of football. But a lot of the bad things have went with him at every stop. And you have to imagine some of them coaches have attempted to get that out of him, but you keep it because it's worth the wow stuff. And I hate that I'm describing a lot of the shit that also goes with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate that too. Cam and Shador both have Watson-esque tendencies a little bit. All right. Let's talk about this then. So I gave you that list. We know the rookie class. Where I'm at with, I think the pressure is real on these guys.
Oh, it's got to be.
They got to win.
Yeah, you escaped this year with three and whatever. Maybe you get to 4, but either way, look, man, the expectations was division, and this is where you landed.
And in recent weeks, after Denver, I felt like the pressure was easing up a little bit. Hey, it's the offense is looking dynamic. The last 2 weeks, it's been dog shit,
lifeless.
And not the effort so much, but just the offense has not been good. The process has not been good. And that, to me, has ratcheted up the pressure on these guys again.
Yeah.
I feel like the pressure has been really ratcheted up. And I do believe that Haslam's going to give them another year, but they're going to have to win.
Well, I want to say this, though. As if we stand here right here today, and as we've said for the last 3 months, I believe they're safe past this season, but there are 3 games left to play. You could embarrass Jimmy Haslam enough in those last 3 games for at least one of them to be in jeopardy. Because
maybe.
The trajectory they're on, Brad. If this is a constant slide and it just nosedives for those last 3 games, and that's the taste you're left with in your mouth, it's not off the table. It's not 100. There is enough time to embarrass Jimmy Haslam enough that he makes a decision that isn't everyone comes back kumbaya.
I respectfully disagree because DTR is taken over. So I think that there's some level of we don't know what this is going to be anyway. So I don't think his expectations are real high at this point.
I don't think their expectations are high, but I'm saying embarrass yourself. I'm saying all the penalties just keep coming. The uninspired efforts. I'll say this: the defense played their ass off against the Chiefs. That was the lowest completion percentage of Patrick Mahomes' career.
Right.
Now, you didn't get any sacks. You roughed that man up.
Yep.
You might have changed the trajectory
of the
NFL season based on the contact you made with Mahomes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not saying effort. But that could, if the effort were to be piss poor over the last 3, and it feels like you've lost the locker room, the team. I'm just saying there's enough time that this could take a nosedive. I don't expect it to, but I just can't get to the point where I can say 100% they're coming back.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your list.
Yeah. All right. So first, all right. Yeah, we got to get through this, and I want to get through this because it's important. But I did want to set that scene. This is the situation here, and here's your pressure. Here's your draft options. I feel like you got to win. Maybe a draft pick buys you some time, but either way, the pressure is ratcheted up. You have to put out a winner on the field, or else you're done. Right? I think you don't get another year like this, right? And to be honest, I don't. Anyway, that's for another show. Anyways, DTR is going to play these last 3 games. Maybe Zappy gets in for a little bit. What are your expectations from DTR, real quickly?
Well, I don't.
Do you believe you know who he is already, despite him?
No, do I believe I know who he is? No, but I believe I know what his skill set is. It's how effective can that be, and how in tune can they get with dialing plays up for him that allows that to be effective. I expect the receivers to take a little bit of a drop here. I mean, I just don't. You're not going to be slinging it the way James was slinging it, timing stuff. I expect this to be a more condensed offense that just moves chains, tries to play a little more ball control offense. I expect him to use his legs a decent amount. Without Chubb, it's going to be up to Jerome Ford. We'll see if this might be Pierre Strong's time to shine. So everybody in the chat, you strong truthers, this might be your moment. Will Deonta Foreman be active? That's another thing to keep an eye on. Something else Jack Duffin pointed out in the chat. Will Zappy be the number 2? Will they just take on Jameis out of this equation over these last 3 games? That'll be very telling if they do. That he might not be on their menu. But I just expect the ball controlled offense. I expect to try to move chains. I don't expect him to be too explosive. I just kind of let him work out and get his timing down and the speed of the game and see if you can work with a player like that. I think he's auditioning to be the backup. I don't think he's auditioning to be the starter in my eyes.
Me neither, but I'm not going to, despite, from what we've seen so far from him, very limited sample size, in not great situations, wasn't prepared, got thrown in a couple times. To MC's point, not durable. He struggled with injuries.
That's my biggest concern.
He's still bigger than Shador Sanders is, FYI. Anyways, I'm going blank slate for these 3 games. I'm wiping everything I've seen to this point. I want to see what he does in these 3 games, and that'll tell me what I need to know. I think I know already.
It's not outcome based for me, but like you said it, so blank slate. So here's what kind of my high level expectation. My high expectation would be, okay, this is 4th start, but only his 2nd time getting a full week of preparation. The last time he did get a full week of preparation was the Denver game, which he looked pretty good.
And he started to look pretty good.
That's what, if I see that version of him.
Yes.
But anything less than that, then it'll be uninspiring to me.
Yeah, I agree. So anyways, I'm interested to see that, but I don't consider him a legitimate option to start next year, right?
No,
we can
same.
He's off the board.
Yep.
Okay. Auditioning for backup, right? All right. Justin Fields.
I got to say no.
I'm out.
I got to say no. Even when he was in Chicago, my thought was, man, he needs to get traded to Atlanta and be with Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith could work with him. He ends up with Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh, and it's still the same mistakes kept showing up there that kind of held him back in Chicago. He's not a rhythm-based time guy. He brings a lot of the problems Deshaun brings. I don't want that. That's where I'm at.
Too much of the Deshaun dropping your eyes. It's the same stuff.
Yes.
Jacoby Brissett.
If DTR is not your backup, in my mind, Jacoby's not a starter. He's a high-level backup. He's a high-level 2. You can string some games. He's a spot starter.
Isn't that what we're looking at, though, here?
I hate to say it.
High-level backup.
His ceiling's not high enough for me, but his floor is higher. So his floor is higher than Jameis, but his ceiling is considerably lower. That's where he falls for me.
Here's my issue. 2 years ago, he was 4-7.
Your defense let you down tremendously. You were top 5 in EPA for plays, and you had a hell of a running game with Brissett.
That's fine. That's good.
But 4-7 doesn't save their jobs.
No, and I expect the defense to be formidable next year.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's 2 years later, and he hasn't been good at all since he left.
Yeah. Because he was good because he was here. He wasn't good because he's good.
So is that what we're banking on, though? Again?
No, absolutely. I'm saying no. I'm saying that's a high. To me, he's a backup.
Okay. All right.
To me, Jacoby's a high-level backup. Spot starter, you can win 2 or 3 games with him, but
who, Jacoby or Flacco?
If I had to choose between the 2, I would go with Flacco. If I had to choose between those 2 specific players.
Right. And he has struggled this year.
And he's 40, dog.
And he's 40.
He's 40 now. Or will be by the beginning of next season.
Okay. Jameis.
He's still on the mix, but the questions remain. What can you change about his game over the offseason to incorporate it into your offense to lead you to believe he'll be consistently on the plus side of 500? Because that's what you need. You need double-digit wins. So if we were to play the game this year and Jameis is the starter, okay, do you beat Dallas?
I'm listening.
I think you beat Jacksonville. I think you beat New York Raiders. I think that stretch of games where it really fell apart early, I think you do win those games. But I still feel you're right at 500 or just below with him. That's where I feel you're at. I don't think that's enough. But he's still in the mix because there's no one on this list that's overwhelming that pushes him off the list.
Agreed.
And they've
still on
worked
the
with him
list
enough
for me too.
that they understand what his deficiencies are, but can they keep him out of them? I don't know.
That's where I'm at. I'm like, listen, if you have to, you can. All right, so I want to be clear. Because this says 215, 6'2", 215. And then ESPN has Thompson at 6'2", 203. But I have been told that standing next to each other, Thompson is bigger than him.
Yeah.
I think Sanders is a slight. I don't think there's any way he's near 225 personally.
Well, and a lot of times, size is one thing, but the ability to not take full-on hits and take glancing blows. But I've seen Sanders get lit up. Now, he's been tough, and he's gotten up from those shots. But, in the pros, you're not going to be able to avoid that the whole time.
All right. So, Jameis is still in the mix for both of us, right?
Yes.
Like, potentially. You feel like you have to see what other options are. He's not my top pick, but he's certainly an option.
Yeah,
you know what he is, and you can try to navigate around what he is. Written saying,
There's
what about
the things we talked about? You got to improve the line. You got to be able to run the ball.
Yes.
You got to be able to run play action, have his back to the defense, and protect him in certain ways.
Here's a name I didn't have on there. What about Daniel Jones?
I've never been a Daniel Jones guy. I've just never.
Better runner than anything.
Yes.
Not going to do it for this offense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that. I've never seen. I know people threatened earlier in the season that he would be the next guy. I've never seen that. I don't think he does. But it also style of offense you're running, the style of offense you're going to run with Stefanski. I don't think he fits those things.
Matt saying, yeah, I think you're right, Matt. It's very possible that DTR does get dinged and Jameis comes back out. And to Casey's point, I think it's worth considering that maybe Zappi's the backup. All right. Then come the big two. I'm going to call these the big two. Mm-hmm. They're not very big as far as options, but the big two are, now that Cousins has been benched, that's done. So you can either trade for him, take on the $27.5 million. It doesn't matter. It's like an NBA deal. It goes away the next year. It's not a big deal, right? It's a one year thing. So like the cap hit is not massive, but the best case scenario is he exercises that no trade clause like Carr did, forces being cut,
plays for a minimum.
You get the Russell Wilson deal on him with the offset language, which is very possible.
Yeah, the ball's completely in his court. If you look how he's navigated his entire career with getting paid, I think Kurt's going to force his way. And
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Name another player who's been paid more for less talent.
No, I mean, are you saying he's going to force being cut?
Yeah, I think he's going to take the no trade clause and get all that money that's guaranteed to him.
Yes,
and
I
get
agree.
his cake needed to, and be a free agent and choose where he goes.
Exactly.
That's why,
which I think is what we want.
Yeah, if he's going to choose us, we don't know what him and Stefanski's working relationship was. We know they performed well together.
He won his only playoff game with him.
Yeah, but we don't know that they got along and seen eye to eye, and and this is Kirk's last swing at it. So if he does truly become a free agent, if he decides to go to Cleveland, it'll be very telling that was a good working relationship. We just don't know that for a fact, and neither of them are going to say it publicly. So that'll be the only way we can tell.
Going to be a massive market for him either.
Yeah, not huge. No, but look, man, we got more quarterback needy teams than we have quarterbacks. So
it's true. And then you have Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I would keep in mind is understand who he's been throwing to this year too.
I understand that.
That might inflate his value.
You and Pete keep saying the same thing. Understand who he's been thrown to. I know.
So you know exactly what Sam Darnold is without those two? Because I don't. I wish I did.
So you're giving. So you think the wide receiver can make the quarterback now? That's crazy.
I watched a severely underthrown ball turn into a touchdown.
Sure.
And the head coach, man, O'Connell. He's in a very good situation and he looks very good. I'm not trying to say he's been bad by any means. I'm just saying, does that mean that's who he is going forward, no matter what? I can't say that.
Yeah,
if you're looking at the sample size before this and after this, now you want to believe that he's been changed, and also he spent some time with San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. Is that where the switch flipped?
That's what I was going with. Like that was the best internship in the world.
I'm saying I can't say what I know. I can hope that that's what happened, and he would be good no matter where he landed going forward because of that process. Because from a skills perspective, there was a reason he was a top 3 pick. If you know what I mean, like he was, and he was super young coming into the league, so he's not old now. He's been in the league a long time, and he's still a young kid.
Yeah.
Like so his ceiling's probably not defined, but I would just caution based on where he is with the players been thrown to. I don't know that you get that no matter where he goes.
Agreed. But it's your job to put weapons around him here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And thanks to Jameis Winston, we understand what Jerry Jeudy can be.
Yes. OG Philly pointing out the 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions from Cousins.
Yeah.
Now,
we say it every time, though. Someone comes back from one of these injuries. It's not the year you come back. It's the year after that. You know what I mean? So we don't even – but his game's also not predicated on being twitchy and athletic.
Right.
And I do worry about his arm strength playing outdoors.
Agreed.
He doesn't have a hose. Darnold does.
But he still may be your best option. Anyways, I'm concerned about
numbers
both.
Guy. Like we'll move the ball, a paint by numbers guy. Like
yes,
if you have a system, he will operate that system. Especially if he's comfortable in that system, which I think we can assume that he would be.
Yes, I agree. So, I think you have to consider the situation with Cousins, and you're monitoring it right now as a potential option. Is it better than Jameis? For me, probably.
Yeah, because I think the floor is higher.
The floor is higher, and I think that if you surrounded him with a running game and enough weapons, you could potentially get some wins. Like he can win you some football games, some regular season football games that Jameis might throw away.
Yes. 100% agree.
And then the Darnold thing, listen, I am with you guys 100%. It's not worth $30 million. There is some muck there that you have to figure out what's what with the guy. But once again, the pressure to win next year.
Yeah. It's real. It's tangible. They got to make a move.
It's real. And how aggressive does it force you to be?
The one thing that you might get into with Darnold that you don't the other quarterbacks is the bidding war, though. You might have multiple suitors because if everyone's hopes on one of those 2 quarterbacks in the draft, say whichever, you can name 10 teams that are quarterback needy right now. And if they don't end up with their guy, will they impulsively do something out of pocket just to get Darnold, just to feel like they've solved it for now?
All right. So those are Aaron Rodgers. We're not taking seriously, right?
I can't
either.
I can't.
So right now, give me your room. If you realistic room, give me your room that you think is the most realistic or likely that you are in favor of. So I need a starter, a backup, and a third. I'm not even including Watson in this conversation. I think he's going to be on the PUP.
Yeah,
I think they're going to keep him
snapped right in front of us.
They're going to keep him on the PUP. He's not going to play at all. So, all right. So let's see.
Oh my God,
what you come up with. Who's your starter? I think they have to consider Darnold, but I ultimately don't think it'll happen. I'll tell you what mine is. You want me to tell you what mine
I'll
is?
fit it.
Huh?
And I'm taking 2 guys off that list. I
Okay,
would go
go
Kirk,
ahead.
Brissett, and then DTR.
That's your room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Off what's available.
I think I have Kirk Cousins. I think I have rookie quarterback, maybe Jackson Dart in the second round, right? And then DTR. Because I think if you draft him high enough, like I'm looking at like everybody clowned Atlanta
For the Penix.
for the Penix thing, but it was smart. I mean, the contract wasn't smart, but you got the option there, and they like Penix a lot.
Yeah.
Already from watching him in practice, that they're willing to go to him mid-season and bail on all that dead money. That's how much they like him. So I think
that was one of those things on
Cousins,
draft night is such shock because it's like you're under the understanding that you got Cousins. So to go to that move, it makes it feel like it was a wasted pick. But now we sit here today and it's like,
yeah,
hedged your bet. And if it pays off, you're a genius. That remains to be seen, but if it does.
Did Ewer say he's going back to school?
Yeah, he might have to enter a transfer portal. His spot might not be secure with Arch Manning behind him.
I don't think so either. Yeah, Ewer's going back, and Allard going back.
And Nussmeier from LSU, that's another one.
I know.
So next year might be the year.
Yeah, I don't think they can wait till next year, buddy.
No, the current regime cannot wait till next year. But
that's my point.
Yeah,
I don't think they can wait.
I'm not saying they're trying to wait, but I just,
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Philly. Like, if they can get up to get Cam Ward, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried it. But you got to find a trade partner. You got to get up there, and you're giving up assets to make your team better to do it.
Yeah.
It's risky business. But like I said, you're going to have to be aggressive at the position.
Yeah, outside of Jacksonville, I don't see really any realistic trade partners that are trying to get out of their spots.
They all need quarterbacks too.
That's what I'm saying.
But there's a chance that, like, these guys aren't perfect prospects by any stretch. There's a chance some of these teams, if they're smarter, like, I can't do it with this guy. I'd rather wait till next year.
But you need other generational, like, cornerstone players to push them out. You need stud left tackles that, can rocket up the board. And, there's no Joe Alt in this draft. There's no one that's, like, consensus at one of those spots that would be, like, push a quarterback out. We don't have that.
Wentz and Daniel Jones competing for starter. Oh, shoot me now.
It's bleak, man. It's bleak.
It is, man. But, like, here's the thing. The reason for me you are keeping, I don't think Wentz is interesting at all. Do you think Wentz is interesting?
No, I'm not in. No, I'm good.
The reason you're keeping Stefanski, in my opinion, is because he has taken these type of dudes in the past and gotten good play from them.
Got career best years out of those guys.
Out of average guys.
Yeah.
So, can he take whoever player X from this list, draft pick Y, and make, chicken soup like he has in the past, right? So, and that starts with attention to the offensive line and drafting a stud running back. No matter who you're slotting in, you got to make that position optimal for who you put in there.
Well, it just buys you time. They don't have to be the man right away. You can navigate and let them develop. That's the recipe. It's been the recipe since he's been here, and they've gotten away from it. And they got away from it because they made this massive investment in a guy, so they restructured everything to fit the guy, and it's an abject failure. So it's time to pull the ripcord and go back to what works, and if they don't do that this offseason, I'm going to have so little faith that they're heading in any proper direction. That is,
Don't do what?
go back to the wheelhouse. Go back to being under center, operating 50-50, getting behind your running game, controlling the line of scrimmage, the things that made Stefanski's offenses effective. You completely got away from that. And if you don't go back into that, I don't feel like he can't even fix this offense. This offense that they've constructed, this Franken offense,
different from his stuff. The concepts, the past concepts are all the same and everything for the most part.
Spacing's different. You're not under center. You're barely under center.
I don't think it's all that different.
It's
the run game
you can't fix it.
I guess. I think you can't fix it because you don't have a quarterback.
That's a lot of it. So, well, I don't know, man. I will never understand why he gave up play calling when he did.
But do you really have a problem with what Dorsey has done as a play caller?
At times, but that's true with every play caller. But it's Stefanski. I have more faith in Stefanski to get the most out of what Jameis was. I think we'd have a better understanding of how this would work going forward if he maintained play calling. But it would have been an indictment on the former quarterback if you immediately had success, and that was the only component that you changed.
It doesn't matter. The indictments are in.
I understand, but it would just have been more glaring, man.
Yeah,
by changing multiple things up with this 3-card Molly game they just played, then it leaves room for interpretation of why it looked different.
I think Marcus Mariota with KS. That's interesting.
Mariota's got a lot of shoulder problems. I don't know how deep those go, but I know that
I like him better than Wentz.
Yeah, I can't take Wentz serious. I can't take that serious.
Anyways, they're in a tough spot, and they got to win.
Yeah.
Or get up and draft somebody and then convince ownership that he's the quarterback of the future. Those are your two options.
Yeah.
If you're not going to win, you better well take somebody in the top 10.
You got to sell us on the future if you're not going to win in the present.
Yeah.
Yep.
At quarterback.
That's always going to be in. That's the one. That's the position. That's the question.
And if you don't do either, I don't think you're back.
Curtains.
Yeah.
It's curtains, man. You can't skate in off what we just saw and not perform next year.
No. Because they're not blowing it up, and they are going to bring back all your good players. So,
do you expect any of what we consider the linchpins of this team to be traded? Any at all?
No.
So you think? I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about Miles, but you don't think that there's a possibility they move on from Njoku?
No. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't. That would be so counterproductive, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't feel that everyone survives in that regard. I just don't know who they consider untouchable other than Miles.
I think they're bringing back Dorsey, bro.
Mm.
You have a problem with that, huh?
I don't see it. I don't know. And also just listening to him talking Hard Knocks. I don't know. That's not a follow me to freedom guy. He's not a guy that the interactions he has with the quarterbacks. And that was the word on him coming in is he was going to be, this is when Stefanski was still calling plays, that he's going to be a glorified quarterbacks coach. He'll have another title, but he's there to whisper to the quarterback.
That's what he was there to do with Watson.
Yes. Yeah. He was brought there to get the most out of Watson.
You don't think he sounds like a competent leader for quarterbacks?
I don't know, man. I don't watch him and I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy. Just the interactions he was having.
Huh.
And Winston kind of confided in him that after he threw that one pick to Keanu Benton, that it changed his mindset for the rest of the game. And his response to that was to seem fairly generic to me. And how much of that's he knows he's on camera, I don't know. Because I've seen him be passionate, that's for damn sure. Seen that man snap a MacBook or whatever it was up and, but I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like a good fit to me.
Apparently, from what I've heard, they really like working together. Dorsey and Stefanski. Anyway, we'll see what happens. That'll be an interesting aspect of this entire thing.
Yeah.
But
because this, I don't know.
Regardless,
17.6 points a game, man. That's not going to get it done.
Regardless, Stefanski, though, you're in a position where if it's not him, you better get rid of him and you can't fuck around with any of this shit. You got to get it right now, or else you're going to lose your job.
That's the thing. Go out on your shield.
Yeah.
That's the reason I want to go back into your own wheelhouse, and if you're going to get fired doing what you do.
I agree. I would fine with him calling plays. I don't think Dorsey has done a bad job. The offense looked better with him than all season long.
With Deshaun Watson, yeah. Boy, how low of a bar is that?
I guess, but I agree, but even I don't know.
It sucks that we're at this point in the season. Our expectations were so vastly different than what we received that it's hard to feel good about a lot of things. I can look at individual players and feel good about certain trajectories and what you could have in the future, but as a whole, it's really hard to feel good about it.
Is it because of Winston as in a positive or a negative? That's my question. Like, Winston plays great, your offense looks great. Winston plays like crap, your offense looks like crap.
Well, the other thing was like the glaring things under Watson were just the failure to launch, to drop back and hold on to it, not make a decision. That didn't happen with Winston. You might not agree with Winston's decision, but the decision was made, and that ball was coming out. So you looked functional. It didn't look like it was just, it was at least moving
more than functional for a couple weeks. They look good for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. And no matter what, man, if you take one takeaway out of that 7-game span, Jerry Jeudy is a dog. He's a guy that you can look for, like going forward. Okay. I don't give a shit like if you want to designate a number to him, but he's an elite playmaker, and you need to put the ball in his hands. And we didn't know that for the first 6 weeks. We couldn't.
Agree. That has been worth the eval for sure. Here we go, Jim.
That's making the cut, by the way.
Here we go. I don't know, Jim. All right. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to All Eyes on Cleveland and the OBR streaming network. Good conversation tonight. We'll get this up. You can listen to us on podcast. Keep it locked over at the OBR.com for all of Casey's writing. As someone mentioned earlier, he's been tearing it up. Great job as always. And read my stuff, read everybody's stuff over there. Pete, Jack, doing a great job breaking down all the cap stuff and everything going on there. So keep it locked. Fred every day, Barry every morning. We're working hard to put out a ton of content for you. Thank you all for being here. OG Philly, you're the man. I appreciate you, brother. Wonderfully nice. Favorite Brown show. We appreciate that. Right back at you, brother. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll see. I'll see you on Sunday. No things I think I know tomorrow night. Sorry. But we'll see you on Sunday for the pregame show. DTR time. As we continue to learn and evaluate to make these decisions that we talked about tonight. These are valuable games. They are. What if they win?
Preseason. We're back. We're in full eval mode, man.
What if they win?
Then if you're going to win the ones in the division.
I guess.
But if not, I'm not going to be mad. This is a process over results for these last 3 games because you've already sealed your fate. So
I don't think they can beat Joe Burrow, but
probably not. But I want to see Mike Hall ball out. I want to see an increased number of snaps.
Mike Hall is balling out.
Yeah, is he a future defensive cornerstone?
So
There's things we can find out over these past 3 games that are meaningful. So let's see those things.
Big bright spot right there, and the fact he came back from injury was impressive so quickly. Like
he wins so suddenly, man. He's impressive. Keep on that trajectory, man.
Very impressive. Yeah, keep him healthy. Keep him on that. Hall, McGuire, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Nice positive aspects. Need a better
Cam Mitchell. There's players.
Need a better performance from Cam this week. He was okay last week.
He was okay. He's also forced to play some outside.
Yes. Yeah, you're learning about him.
In there, but there's these young players. This is your chance to make a mark and cement your pecking order going into the offseason, man.
Miles Harden, all these guys.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, go have a great night, man. Appreciate you guys all. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on Sunday. Enjoy the college playoff. I'm excited for that too. Should be fun.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Yep. Keep it locked to DOBR. For Casey Kinnamon, my name is Brad Ward. It's been another edition of All Eyes on Cleveland on the OBR streaming network. Have a wonderful night.